Hey guys, thanks for joining me for an episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Hard City. This is a brand new game coming to Kickstarter by Hexy Studios. It is a 2 to 5 player game that takes roughly an hour to 2 hours to play, and it is a one versus many, so you have cooperative aspect on most of the side and competitive from the other side. Now, the company did say that they are working on a solo and a fully cooperative mode as well that'll be included in the game when it ships. And one other thing to keep in mind during both of my videos that I'm going to be doing for this is a prototype copy. All of the materials are prototypes, so they are subject to change. Some of them will get a lot better, more detail and all that kind of stuff, and all the miniatures and stuff are also prototype resin casts, so those will be looking a little bit different as well. So the game itself, in the game, you are playing either the evil Dr. Zero that is trying to take over this poor city. He has used his mutagen on the citizens of this city and turned them into grotesque mutants that are destroying and killing all the civilians that are out there. Or you're playing the role of one of the brave Hard City police force and trying to save the city and defeat the mutants and stop Dr. Zero from just destroying everything and accomplishing his plans. This game also takes itself in a B-movie setting. A lot of the things you're going to see in this, you have a cuts area that will do little clips and let you, as the police players, play and do special things each round potentially, and all kinds of other things that are just wacky and zany and just completely out there, as you would expect in most B movies. So my opinions of this one so far is this is one I would recommend. I've really enjoyed it, and I definitely would recommend it if you like the one versus many or fully cooperative games. As like I said, they are working on a set of rules to make it a fully cooperative game as well, and I can't wait to see what they do with that. I have not seen those rules yet, and I'm not sure what they're going to change to accomplish that, but I am a big fan of fully cooperative games, as sometimes it is hard to get one player to play the bad guy all the time. So other than that, like I said, this is a great game, and it takes itself not so serious as far as its setting to the B-movies, so you have a lot of tongue-in-cheek and a lot of slapstick within there. Even the big nasty monster, the Fubar, obviously with the name, is just a lot of fun. When Dr. Zero and the player brings him out, he just wreaks havoc everywhere. He's got a lot of power and additional moves and actions and all kinds of stuff, and he's almost treated like another character. He's got his own health bar and everything else, so he's a big nasty creature that the players have to either deal with or stay as far away from as possible, which either way is going to mess up their plans most of the time as the game comes to an end, because you can only bring him out once, so usually he's going to come out at the end and wreak havoc right at the end there. So other than that, like I said, if you enjoy watching these videos, if you want to know and stay up to date on everything, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's going to help me to grow and continue to bring these great videos to you guys. And if you also want to ring the bell to stay notified and get notifications every time I release new content, please consider doing that. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and I'll show you guys what this is all about. First, for the players that are going to be playing the police officers, there are 4 included in the base game, and each player is going to choose one officer to play as. Once they've made that selection, each player will receive a heart, which will mark the officer's starting health, which normally the officers will have 5 health. And each player will also get 5 donuts, which represents the action points that the officer can spend throughout his turn. Each player is also going to receive a set of skill cards, which as the officers kill mutants throughout the game, they're going to unlock these skill cards, which will give them additional abilities that they can use throughout their turn. And then each officer also starts with their own special starting ability that they can use throughout the game as well. And then each player is also going to receive that officer's miniature to go along with that player. Moving over to the other player that will be playing Dr. Zero, Dr. Zero has a whole plethora of things that he can use during his turn to thwart the police officers and bring his evil plans to fruition. So first off, he has his own deck of action cards, which will have all kinds of different cards in it. It has special cards, which each mission will have a specific thing for these cards and will tell you what they do. And then he'll also have 3 other types of cards. Instant cards, which he can use 1 per turn of his. He has action cards, so it'll do a particular action. And then finally reaction cards that he can use to react to players as they roll the exclamation points on the dice. So on top of that, then he can also use these cards to perform the basic actions on the bottom of the cards. And each turn he'll be able to do 2 out of the 3 basic actions if he chooses to use the card for that, which will allow him to spawn additional enemies on the board in the spawning zones, move enemies, and attack with a number of enemies. And for this game, he has 3 basic types of enemies. He has the mutants, which are male and female. They don't have any differences to them. And then at some point during the game, he can also spawn his super bad, nasty guy, the Fubar. And this guy here will have a number of hit points based on the number of victory points that the police officer players have accumulated throughout the game. And he can do all kinds of different nasty things that will really give Dr. Zero an advantage in that. There's also 2 other miniatures that are included. We have the Mutant Soldier and Mutant Rat, which their rules are still being worked out. So you guys won't be seeing these in the playthrough that I have, as they have not really been fleshed out with the rules yet. But they are working on them, and these are going to add some additional effects to the game that Dr. Zero will be able to use. Some of the other components included in the game are a set of custom dice, which will have a double hit, single hits, blanks, and the exclamation point, which will allow the Dr. Zero player to play some of his cards at certain points, the reaction cards to the police players. Then we have the score track, which is going to keep track of the victory points for the police players, Dr. Zero player, and as the police players kill the mutants, they're going to keep track of those, and each time they've killed 10 mutants, they'll get a new skill card and then move this back down to the 0 and continue on from there, so the police players can collect a number of skill cards throughout the game. Then we have the item cards. We have box cards, which they'll have a number of different items in, as well as the police crates, which are going to have other items in them, such as the stun gun, rocket launcher, and flamethrower, among other different items. And then finally, keeping with the whole B-movie theme, we have cutscenes, which each round you'll expose a new cutscene, and the police players can choose to use a cutscene once per game, and they'll just move that tracker down as they use them. And they can skip over scenes, so if there's an important scene that you need to do, you can go ahead and skip to that one, and the other ones behind it will not be able to be used. But each scene will have a special thing that the police officers will do, such as this opening one, where the police car will pull onto the playing field and kill any mutants it drives over, and then the police officers will disembark from the vehicle. And each of the cutscenes will do different things, which will usually have some sort of powerful effect for that round. In order to play Hard City, the first thing you're going to do is choose a scenario that the players would like to play, and then go ahead and set it up according to the scenario that you've selected. And then you would go ahead and do the pre-round sequence following any instructions on the scenario. Then we're ready to move into the game rounds, which each game round is divided into 2 subsequent phases, the event phase and the action phase. So the event phase, all officers are going to regain all of their action points that they've spent. So most of the time this will be 5. Then you're going to follow any instructions that are on the scenario sheet. From there, then you're going to draw one cutscene and reveal it. In the situation with us, this is our first round, so we would just have that first one up. And then finally, Dr. Zero is going to draw a number of chaos cards based on the number of officers that are playing. So I've gone ahead and set up a 2-player game. So our Dr. Zero player has drawn 2 cards. From there, we're ready to move into the action phase. And during the action phase, each player is going to get to take their turn, and it's going to alternate from an officer player to Dr. Zero. So the first officer player will go, then Dr. Zero will take a turn, then he'll come back, and the next officer player will go, and then finally Dr. Zero will take a final turn, and then the round will end, and we're ready to start a new round, unless the ending conditions have been met. So the last thing I want to show you is an activation for the police players and the Dr. Zero player. So like I said, during the action phase, each player is going to alternate, starting with the police players and then alternating to the Dr. Zero player. So based on the number of police players, that'll be how many times the Dr. Zero player will activate as well. So let's go ahead and start with Marcellus Hammer here, and he's going to go ahead and activate and choose his character. So during his activation, he gets to spend his 5 action points to do a variety of different things, which are to move around the board, perform shooting attacks, close combat attacks, using any equipment that he has, or activating any of his special abilities that he has throughout the turn. So let's go ahead and start by moving him, and he already has a civilian, and the goal of the first mission is to get our civilians onto the helicopter. So he's going to go ahead and move 2 spaces, because he can move up to 2 spaces with a civilian, and he's going to do the same thing again, and move him up all the way up to the helicopter here. From there, then he's going to have to spend 2 of his action points, which is listed on the scenario, to rescue one of the civilians and evacuate him on the helicopter. So we'll go ahead and remove that civilian. And then we get to move the police officer's gauge up 1 point. So we only need 6 more points to win the game. And then he has 1 action left, so let's go ahead and try a shooting action. So in order to perform a shooting action, he's going to get 2 dice, and he's going to choose a zone to target. Now, unfortunately, all of the zones only have 1 mutant in them, so it doesn't really matter. So he's going to go ahead and choose this one here, as it's pretty close to him and that civilian over there. So from here, then he rolls the dice. He gets 2 successful hits. 1 successful hit would knock down the mutant. The second one will kill it. So then we're going to move the mutant killing gauge up 1 point, and then we're done with his round. So we're ready to move over to Dr. Zero player. So he gets to choose. He can play 1 instant, which he has. He has panic, so he can choose to play that, and this one will let him choose a civilian or officer that is not on a space with a mutant. You can move the civilian up to by 2 spaces or an officer by 1. So he can go ahead and choose to move this civilian up here with him, and then he's played that card, and then he can play 1 of his action cards or use its abilities on the bottom. So he does have Evil Master Plan, which will let him, as the action on the card, draw 3 cards from the Chaos Pool, or he can use 2 out of the 3 actions at the bottom, which would allow him to bring on 6 mutants onto the table and either move 1 mutant or attack with 1 mutant. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and do his basic actions. So we're going to go ahead and start by choosing to spawn 6 mutants. And he gets to do those anywhere around the perimeter of the board. So let's go ahead and drop a couple up here to start giving him a hard time. And then we'll go ahead and put a couple over here as well. From there, then we'll choose 1 of the other 2 basic actions to perform. So we're going to go ahead and do an attack and attack this civilian up here. So that'll eliminate the civilian as it only has 1 hit point. And then we get to move his gauge up 1 point because he gets victory points for killing civilians. From there, then that is the end of his turn, as that is all he can do. And we're ready to move over to the next police officer player to take their turn. Well, I hope that gives you guys a good idea whether or not you want to back this game. And like I said, this is one that I would recommend. I had a lot of fun playing and trying this one out. And I definitely love the theme of this one. It is really interesting and just very out there. It's a totally different, totally B-movie type of game. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely give this one a look. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it'll help me to continue to grow and bring these great games to you guys. And as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my videos and to leave me feedback on them. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.